There's two major issues in my opinion. First is, with all technology and the way things are going, people can live in their own virtual worlds. How do you make sure people get engaged in their community and really enmesh themselves in their community and help make their community a better place? I think that's the first huge issue, because we're at risk for getting away from that. And then the second issue, which is related, is how can we make sure that the developing world really develops and benefits from all the technology, all the improvements in health and education outcomes? How do we make sure that that's broadly distributed across the globe and not sort of limited to certain geographic areas? Those are the two major issues in my mind that we need to solve over the next 10, 20 years to really make the world a dramatically better place. In terms of solving the problems I just talked about, I think the biggest thing is for people to start at a young age getting involved in their community and getting involved in things. And I think that that's something we can do in schools, we can do in high schools, we can do in colleges, and really make that part of the curriculum and make it part and parcel of how we train kids in their education and how to live a good life. The second thing is I think we need to figure out ways to foster a lot more international travel and a lot more connections between cultures so that ideas flow back and forth. And I think that there could even be funding that would flow to promote ideas flowing back and forth. I mean, I have spent most of my career in the developed world, working with creating companies in the United States and working with creating companies in other developed nations and working at creating nonprofits within the United States for the most part. So I wouldn't consider myself an expert in the developing world and in how to get nonprofit programs and community service programs working and improve lifestyle and life outcomes in the developing world. I'm definitely not an expert in that, but it's my own international travel and experience, I guess, that completely tells me that this is such a crying need, and I hope that eventually I can become expert enough in it to do something about it. About 7 years ago, I started the Greenlight Fund together with Margaret Hall, who's my partner in this endeavor. You can check it out at www.greenlightfund.org. And at Greenlight, we do something very simple but very powerful, and that is, in the communities that we are, and that is so far Boston, Philadelphia, and San Francisco, every year we systematically look at the community, look at what the community most needs on the nonprofit side, and then we look all over the country and all over the world for one nonprofit that's been proven, that's worked in multiple locations, but is not in one of the locations that I just discussed. And then every year we bring a nonprofit to one of those locations, and when we bring the nonprofit to that area, we create partnerships, we help hire an executive director, we help build a board of advisors, a board of directors. We commit somewhere between $600,000 and $1 million in funding to make sure that the program is successful over the first 4 or 5 years in the new location. And then we ask it to swim and be successful on its own, the same way it has in other places. In doing that, so far over a 7-year period in Boston, we brought 6 organizations that are today reaching about 15,000 children and families in life-transforming ways. And we hope that over the next handful of years, as we do that Boston, Philadelphia, the Bay Area, that eventually we'll be reaching 70,000, 80,000 kids and families a year with life-transforming programs. And we would love to expand to other cities within the United States and then eventually international. So when I think about what we do at Greenlight, and I think about how we're making an impact in Boston, Philadelphia, and San Francisco, and I think about if we apply that same model to Bangladesh or Delhi or someplace in South Africa or Kenya, I really don't see why the same model couldn't be followed. I think it would be a lot more cost effective because the resources would go farther. I just hope that we can prove the model enough in the United States to have somebody come from any one of those locations and say, I want to take the Greenlight program and replicate it in my place. And we would be so incredibly enthusiastic and receptive to that. And hopefully it's somebody that really could make it happen. So here's the way the process works. You have an executive director that has knowledge of the nonprofit sector in that location, and has a bit of community knowledge, and then you form an advisory board of amazing social entrepreneurs, for-profit entrepreneurs, business people, government people, domain experts, and that's the selection advisory committee. And then basically every year you are looking at what is the incredible unmet need in that community that you want to focus on for that particular year. And then you're looking all over the country and internationally for programs that might serve that need and have been proven, and then bringing it and making it happen. And so that whole process, if you think about it, is very cultural neutral. Obviously, we wouldn't necessarily bring to Philadelphia the same program we might bring to Boston. We wouldn't bring to the Bay Area the same program we would bring to Philadelphia. And that's for those locations to determine. And I think, therefore, that if you provide the same process in Mexico City or in Buenos Aires, I think that same process would work its same magic. If you had local knowledge, looking at the community, what it most needs, and then looking at programs that have been proven elsewhere, maybe you would first look harder, of course, if you're bringing something in Buenos Aires, something that's been done in another community in Argentina, so that it would really be culturally appropriate, would receive the same kind of support, could deliver within the context of the public school system or whatever system was being addressed. So I think following the same process would yield the same kind of results in different geographies. It just would result in different programs being chosen, and I think that's perfectly okay. I mean, one of the most important things in life is having a goal or a series of goals. And for me, and I guess my parents instilled this, and obviously education helped, and my current family helps a tremendous amount, and Oxford, and being exposed to an amazing group of friends and colleagues here. It all helped, but the bottom line was I had a goal, I think, from a very early age to see if while I was on this earth I could leave it the best, most improved place I possibly could. And for me that meant using my skills to the max, both in the for-profit and not-for-profit world. And I wanted to do that in a way where I could use the creativity of helping create things. And for me, venture capital in the for-profit world and Greenlight in the not-for-profit world, those are really the vehicles for me to deliver everything I can. And once you have those goals and you have the vehicles, I guess nothing's left but to try your guts out. That's what I'm trying to do.